Hey guys, wanted to put together a quick tactic for you today on why you need debt to get rich. Now, this is a really important thing to understand coming into the advice process, where I'll talk about some of the key things that you need to know to frame up your thinking around debt and leverage in your plan. Now, this is a common sticking point because a lot of people are scared of debt, and you should have a level of fear around debt for sure. Like debt comes with risk. Risk should be managed. So I want to help you understand, though, the opportunity, though, that's on the other side of that risk, how to think about it, and how that you can use debt in a smart way to get the best results possible, but without facing on excessive levels of risk, essentially. Now, I am going to get into a bit of financy stuff. So, guys, this is not financial advice. Please don't rush out and make any decisions. This is really just to set the scene for what's coming next. Now, I will call out at the start here that you can get ahead without debt. You absolutely can. It's certainly possible. In fact, I've got an example here that shows the power of time in investing into the share market. And basically, I've used the 30-year return on the Australian share market and said, what if you save up a bunch of money, invested into the share market, how will it grow? So basically, if you did this with 50K 10 years ago, your 50K would grow to be worth about 132,000 today. You keep that going for 20 years, or if you've done it 20 years ago, 351,000, 30 and 40 years, $1 million, $2.5 million from just 50 grand. So it's a pretty good outcome. That's without using a single dollar of debt. And this is what I mean when you don't need debt to get ahead. Now, I've done the same thing to say that what if you had 100,000, 200, 500,000, how you'd expect that money to grow. Please keep in mind that this is just the market return, which is something that's really, really easy to achieve. We're going to explain exactly how. Also, keep in mind that this is inflation dollars. So like a latte in 40 years is probably going to cost you $35. But I can tell you that having $9 million is a lot better than not having $9 million at that point in time. So you absolutely can get ahead without debt. But when you do introduce debt and introduce it in a smart way, you see how it grows. So in this example, I put what happens if you had 100 grand and invested it into shares, and you see that that would grow to be worth 110,000 after a year, 265,000 after 20 years, 700,000, 1.8 mil. Or you get that 100 grand, put it into property, use some of the bank's money to invest, that $500,000 property grows to $3.2 million. So you basically made an extra $1.5 million with the same input. Now, I get that this is a really simple example, and we're going to get into some more detailed examples through your planning process, but it frames up the opportunity that comes with debt. So with no debt rather, you are probably leaving a fair bit of money on the table. Now, we know before we get into the planning process with anyone that the strategy that's going to give them the most upside is to borrow as much money as the banks will lend you and then go buy as much investments as possible. We also know that that's not going to be the right strategy for you or for most people, because you won't be able to sleep at night. It's going to be too much risk. You're going to have too much cash flow crunch. But no debt is also being a little bit lazy. So if maximum debt gives you maximum results and no debt is leaving a bunch of money on the table, what we're trying to do through the planning process is help you find the sweet spot in this spectrum that gives you a comfortable level of debt where you can still live the lifestyle that you want, where your risk is still managed, but where you're accelerating the results that you get. Now, I've just got an example here to show, if we had $1 million of property or $2 million of property, how that would grow over time. And you see that at the $1 million mark, a $1 million property today, based on the 150-year return rate on the property market, 6.3%, would grow to be worth about $6 million in 30 years. If you had $2 million, it's about $12 million in 30 years' time. So what this says to me is that you don't need 10 properties. And this is certainly not what we're saying. We're not one of these companies that talks about, build a 20 property portfolio or anything like that. For us, that's just completely unnecessary. You can see here that with a not an insane level of debt, not to say that it's not nothing, but not with a reasonable level of debt, you can create some pretty amazing results. So you definitely do not need 10 properties. You just need some good property that will grow for you. And the reason that I say property is because property is the thing that the banks are most comfortable to lend money from. Plus, it's the one that we can understand the most and plan with the smartest. And that's really the name of the game. So look, guys, as I said, today I just wanted to introduce you to some of these ideas. It's really natural for people to be a little bit fearful of debt and to not want to, face the risk that comes with that. But the whole point of this planning process is to make sure that any debt levels that you do or any investments that you make generally, that we're doing it in a way where our risk is completely managed, where you're not compromising any lifestyle things that are important to you, and that you've got a clear path forward where you are sort of leveraging the financial potential and the money that you already have in place. So guys, really look forward to getting into this further with you. As always, any questions, please don't hesitate